Hello and welcome. I'm Sandy Chi and here's what happened this week. Starting off with politics. New polls on the 2024 presidential race indicate that the ruling and opposition parties' political group over the country could be broken by a relative newcomer. The Democratic Progressive Party still leads in popularity, but the 4-year-old Taiwan People's Party has overtaken the opposition Kuomintang. John Van Triest reports on a possible shakeup in the country's political landscape.
The latest presidential polls are in. Politics site RW News and polling firm K-Point Survey and Research have both put out their findings, and it looks like people are calling for change. The polls put Democratic Progressive Party candidate and Vice President Lai Ching-te in the lead with 31 to 38% support, which could be expected. But both surveys placed former independent Ko Wen-je in second with 22 to 32% support. His Taiwan People's Party was only founded in 2019, and with just 5 seats in Taiwan's current legislature, it usually lags behind the top two. But in these polls, it's overtaking the dominant Kuomintang, or KMT. Its candidate, New Taipei Mayor Hou Yu-ih, comes in at around 18 to 22%. These numbers echo a late May poll by online newspaper My Formosa, which put the candidates in the same order, indicating this may be where they've sat for several weeks. These results have sparked rumors that the chair of the third-place KMT could intervene in the running of Hou's campaign.
朱立伦主席之前就已经讲说他是最强总教练了。既然是总教练，就应该要帮所有场上的选手规划好最好的，不管是训练的方向，不管是备战的策略，不管是后续的安排。
Though officially, the party says there are no such plans. And while the polls may show the DPP's Lai in the lead, his two opponents both say the latest numbers don't worry them.
民调的高低我都参考，也虚心的看待这些事情。侯友宜不怕挑战，不怕困难，会坚定不滑。
民调跟股票一样，你知道吗？看看就好了，你不要每天去追那个数字。我跟你讲，民调要投票那天高才有用啊，其他天高有什么用？
With 7 months to go until the elections, analysts say there's still plenty of time for voters to change their minds. John Su and John Van Triest for TaiwanPlus.
For more insights into what these numbers mean, John Van Triest spoke to political commentator Courtney Donovan-Smith.
So generally speaking, how reliable is political polling in Taiwan, would you say?
Some, I think, are politically biased by the side commissioning them. Now, the one that I follow the most closely is the My Formosa polls. And I don't think they're intentionally politically biased. The two latest polls, which I think we're going to discuss today, are the RW poll. During the last election cycle, I thought that their polling came out fairly reliable. The other one, K-Point, that just came out, I really don't know very much about them. They're a pretty irregular pollster.
What would you attribute the TPP's relative success in these polls to? Is it the popularity of Ko Wen-je, the leader of the party you just mentioned, or missteps by his opponents?
Both. I think what's happened is you'll notice that coming into this presidential race, you'll notice that both Lai and Ko came into it prepared. Meanwhile, Ho came into this, he was announced as presidential candidate, and he has basically no platform. Party unity is seriously split. But then he's also got this whole, scandal going on where at a local kindergarten, the teachers were giving the students barbiturates. And there's been a lot of criticism against Ho for the way that the city government has handled it.
Do you see the TPP making this election a breakthrough and a new start, or will it fade away like many of its other third-party predecessors?
It will depend on, I think, on a few factors. Ke is fortunate in that he's got An Gao, Vivian Huang, Tsai to a certain degree. So he's got a little bit of star power joining him in the party, but he's got to cultivate that so that the party doesn't come across as just a vehicle for Ko Wen-je. And then the other thing is, will people lose interest in the party? That sometimes happens.
Once again, that was John Van Triest speaking to political commentator Courtney Donovan-Smith. Taiwan's foreign minister has made a joint appearance with the president of the Czech Republic in Prague. Louise Ward reports.
Taiwan's foreign minister doing what he can to raise the island's profile on the world stage. Joseph Wu spoke at a Prague event, also attended by Petr Pavel, the president of the Czech Republic. Taiwan's foreign ministry says this was the first time a Taiwanese official has shared a stage with a European head of state that's not a diplomatic ally. Most countries don't have official relations with Taipei, but instead with Beijing, which threatens to one day take control of the island. Taiwan's foreign minister said it needs the support of European countries to help maintain peace.
As we speak, the PRC continues to flex its muscles to intimidate Taiwan, including sending its warplanes and vessels to cross the median line of the Taiwan Strait.
Wu warns that a war in the Taiwan Strait could send a shockwave through Europe if supply chains were disrupted, and said the global impacts would be the same or even worse as those from the Ukraine war. Countries in Central and Eastern Europe have been keen to show support for Taiwan following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And a call to Taiwan's President Tsai was among the first things the Czech president did on being elected. At the think tank event in Prague, he said the world should show support for Taiwan.
Let's stay united with regard to preserving the situation with Taiwan, not letting China impose her will on Taiwan.
Pavel left right after his remarks without meeting Wu, but his appearance at the same event was still a boost for Taiwan.
Frequently, all sorts of encounters, even seemingly informal encounters at conferences or on the sidelines of events organized by non-governmental organizations, are a no-go. So I believe that this setting is another example of Czechia really positioning itself at the forefront of engagements with Taiwan.
Beijing has slammed Wu's trip and urged European leaders not to have any formal exchanges with Taipei. This as they hosted the president of Honduras, after it severed ties with Taiwan at Beijing's urging, leaving Taiwan with only 13 official allies. But China's diplomatic campaign against Taiwan is not stopping its blossoming relations with Eastern and Central Europe, which Taipei hopes will lead to broader international support for the country. James Lin and Louise Watt for TaiwanPlus.
President Tsai has highlighted Taiwan's key role on the front line of protecting democracy. She says all eyes are on the country as it defends itself from authoritarianism with the help of its democratic partners. Tsai made the statement while meeting with officials from the Washington-based Foundation for Defense of Democracies on Thursday. The delegation arrived in Taiwan on Sunday for a 6-day visit. They're here to provide recommendations on improving the country's defense and on regional security. Taiwan's military released a new edition of Civil Defense Handbook on Tuesday. The 48-page booklet contains tips and guidelines to help citizens prepare for a number of emergency situations. It includes checklists of what to pack in the event of a disaster and QR codes showing the locations of air raid shelters.
面对致灾性的天然灾害我们频次越来越增加。国军基本上基于保国卫民、爱民护民的一个理念，那么依据中央跟地方政府的需求，会共同来协助执行灾害防救的任务。那么目前已经完成了各项灾防工作的一个准备，也可以依据需求来适时的派遣兵力投入救援。
Taiwan's National Police Agency says it's almost done inspecting the country's bomb shelters. Authorities are going around each bunker and making sure they're safe for use. They're also updating the maximum capacity of each facility. Taiwan has nearly 90,000 underground shelters. People can look up the location closest to them on the police agency's app. Officials say inspections are over 90% complete and should be finished next month. The move comes amid growing concerns about the possibility of a Chinese attack on Taiwan. A kindergarten is being questioned over the possible drugging of students. Tests on a pupil at a school in New Taipei City revealed traces of a sedative. One kindergarten was shut down earlier this week for the same reason. As John Van Tres reports, the case is raising fears among parents that the practice could be more widespread.
At this new Taipei kindergarten, parents are picking up their children early. Some plan to take them to hospitals for a drug test. A kindergarten in the city is under investigation for allegedly drugging pupils, and parents at this school are not taking any chances. At the start of the week, one child here was found to have traces of a sedative in their system, spreading suspicion among parents that teachers here may be drugging children too.
你说有个小孩子好像他的浓度比较高一点，因为刚好我们这个是跟他同一班，那我们就想说小孩子也会害怕，所以我想要先带走。
The actual concentration, 20 to 30 nanograms per milliliter, is so small that doctors consider the test results to be negative. But even that amount is worrying to some scientists.
它们其实都是列管的3级管制用药。如果我们在没有服用这样子的药物之前呢，其实是不可能在身体里面有这样子的化合物残留的。
But in a Facebook post, the city's mayor has cautioned against speculation and asked residents not to panic. Investigators are looking at whether a cold medicine the child previously took may be responsible for the drug traces. The new Taipei city government says it's in contact with parents at the school and getting surveillance camera footage from inside. But there is concern that these are not isolated cases, and hospitals are now making preparations to accommodate parents who want to make sure their children are safe. John Su and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Wallets may be feeling a little thin these days. That's because Taiwan has seen a drop in real wages for the first time in half a decade. Joyce Tseng explains why.
Feeling a little short on money? That might have something to do with rising inflation and the cost of living outpacing the value of any salary increase. According to government figures, real wages have dropped in Taiwan for the first time in 7 years. The average wage recorded in April was around $1,475, though this has increased by 2.27% compared to 2022. After adjusting for inflation, it's actually a drop of 0.16% in value. As labor rights activist Roy Nguyen explains, average wages in Taiwan haven't had a chance to catch up with inflation because they're tied to how quickly the minimum wage grows, which isn't very fast at all.
What would be needed is for the minimum wage to be increased by a much larger magnitude so as to push up the median and average wage in Taiwan.
Global inflation rose to nearly 9% last year, the highest for a quarter of a century. But in Taiwan, prices have for the most part stayed relatively low. There was a spike last June when the inflation rate hit a 14-year high of almost 3.6%. Fast forward to the present and you'll see a drop from 2.35% in April to just above 2% in May. Despite this, financial analyst Wesker Jen predicts people in Taiwan will continue to feel the financial pinch.
因为毕竟商品的价格你只要一涨了，未来要降价的几率几乎是微乎其微。今年年底为止民众大概一样都会感受得非常的这个痛苦。
Some sectors, like the service industry, have bucked the trend. Thanks to a post-pandemic boost in tourism, those working in hotels and passenger transport received a salary bump. But with global inflation still on the rise, most earners in Taiwan will have to keep their spending in check to live within their means. Devin Tsai and Joyce Sun for TaiwanPlus.
Thanks for watching Here's What Happened. Remember to download the TaiwanPlus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally today, we leave you the images from the Sea Up Mirrors digital exhibition in Rio, Brazil. I'm Sandy Chi. Take care and see you next time.
Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus. For more stories about virtual reality and more, download the TaiwanPlus app.